All right, what's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Look, in my absence of making videos, okay, I came across several videos discussing Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather and who should be fighter of the decade, who should have been fighter of the decade. Floyd was announced officially fighter of the decade. There are a lot of YouTubers, some that I respect, some that I actually subscribe to, many that I don't subscribe to, that were making videos about this fighter of the decade thing. Now, I briefly spoke about it in one of the videos I did a few weeks back, where I basically said I think because of Floyd's two wins, two biggest wins which were against Manny Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez. I basically said that I thought he was fighter of the decade because he fought the other two best other fighters of the decade and beat them. You know, Manny Pacquiao had great wins. Win against undefeated Tim Bradley. Win against undefeated Keith Thurman. Great wins. Okay. Canelo had great wins against Sergey Kovalev, Arislani Lara. Who else? Gennady Golovkin. Great wins. All right. All three of them had great wins. All right, but I spoke very briefly of it. I didn't go into too much detail because I was talking about the decade, fights that I love, KOs that I love. I was talking about the whole decade in general, you know? So there were a lot of channels making videos about this. And look, this is the reason why I wanted to make this video. I don't understand why boxing fans have to slander Floyd Mayweather just because they like Manny Pacquiao. Okay? Uh it doesn't make any sense. Not everything that Manny Pacquiao does is better than Floyd Mayweather. Okay, let's just make that clear. All right, I will never slander Manny Pacquiao because I really think he's a great fighter. He's one of the best fighters of all time, and he's one of the best fighters I've ever seen. Period. I love Manny Pacquiao. All right, you don't have to hate one if you like the other. I like both of these fighters. All right, but the thing is, I'm gonna tell it how it is. I understand the importance of Manny Pacquiao and well to his country, to his countrymen. I understand. I've seen plenty of documentaries of what he means to his people. The people from the Philippines. I went out there to uh, Las Vegas when Floyd and Pacquiao fought. You guys remember I was doing videos while I was out there that week. Okay, and the amount of people from the Philippines that were there was crazy. You know, the amount of love and support that he got was crazy. Manny Pacquiao is big, especially out in his country. I totally understand that. But one thing I would never do, and I've seen plenty of YouTubers do it. I've seen it. I've seen them doing it since I've had a channel. A lot of these YouTubers like to pander to the Manny Pacquiao audience because they know it's gonna bring volume to their channel, subscribers to their channel. And I've seen it over and over again. There are older channels that were doing it back then that got a large following because of just always being pro Pacquiao every single video. Video after video after video, one, two, three, four videos a day just talking about Manny Pacquiao. And reading the comments, you're positive about Manny Pacquiao, you're an expert to them. And listen, I get the hustle, I get the game. All right, but if we're going to be honest with ourselves here, there's no reason for you to praise. You can't praise Manny Pacquiao and slander Floyd at the same time. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, as a fan, okay, if you don't like Floyd, That's fine. But you cannot discredit his accomplishments while praising Manny Pacquiao's accomplishments, because both of their accomplishments are too similar. They both fought and won titles in many divisions. Okay? Similar divisions. They both have similar opponents. They have a lot of common opponents. And in this decade alone, Manny Pacquiao's only knocked out one fighter. It's not even like he's destroying everybody that he's fighting. Because people like to say that Floyd's a runner and he doesn't have no power. He doesn't have this, that, and the third. Yet, Manny Pacquiao's only knocked out Lucas Matisse in this past decade. Now, I'm not saying that to slander him in any way. Of course not. But what I'm trying to say is like, let's stop having double standards here. All right? I understand you may not like Floyd. Like, I was watching this guy on YouTube. I don't subscribe to him. And I don't pull up people's names if I'm not going to be positive. I was watching this guy, and he's just one of these guys that just likes to, pander to the Manny Pacquiao fans. And I know he's pandering because, you know, when you listen to a guy and you realize that he has a certain level of intelligence, yet he's saying something that completely doesn't make sense, you know when he's just pandering to a certain demographic of people. So he starts out his video and he's going down Floyd's resume, and he's talking about how old Shane Mosley was and how old Cotto was, and he's just trashing every single fighter that Floyd Mayweather fought. Floyd avoided Antonio Margarito. It's just like he's slandering everything. You can't even say one good thing about this guy, right? And I'm just saying to myself, I mean, how bad was Shane Mosley? How bad was he really? I mean, he was coming off of two good wins. One against Antonio Margarito, stopping him, stopping Antonio in a huge upset. He was coming off a couple good wins. Pacquiao ended up fighting him a couple of years later, I believe. And then Canelo ended up fighting him again after that. How old was he? Yeah, Floyd got rocked in the second round. But if you're going to bring up Floyd getting rocked and stress that the fact that he got hurt in the second round, and not bring up that Floyd dominated him for the remainder of the fight, every single round, and not bring up the fact that Pacquiao's been knocked out and lost a couple other fights and received gifts, it is what it is. How do you not bring up these other things? Why do you people make it seem as in Pacquiao doesn't have any, like, he doesn't have flaws in his game, in his resume? There are certain things he did that wasn't so great or wasn't good at all. Did he have to fight Marquez this decade a third and fourth time? Did he have to? I don't think he had to. In fact, Marquez's best performance against Pacquiao was in the third fight. Because unlike the first two fights that they had in the lower divisions, Marquez didn't get dropped a whole bunch of times. He got dropped, what, 3 times in the first round, in the first fight, got dropped once in the second fight. So he was always behind on points. But as far as winning rounds, Marquez clearly won the third fight. If we're going to talk about robberies, Marquez clearly won the third fight. That was the one fight that he did better than he did in the first and second fight. And even the fourth fight, Pacquiao was doing the best he ever done in the fourth fight. The only problem is he got knocked out. He was destroying Marquez, and he got knocked out. I mean, outside of the knockdown earlier in the round. Listen, if you're gonna bring up things that you don't like about Floyd, like for example, if you thought him knocking out Victor Ortiz was cowardly, if you feel that way, fine. But what wrong did he actually do? Because I seen a guy trying to do a leaping headbutt to him several times in that fight. And then when he finally landed one and the ref gave him a warning, the ref said the fight is on, separated the two, gave Floyd another hug or whatever, and then Floyd went for the punch. Is that a guy that you fight fair with? This is a guy that's continuously fighting dirty. And all Floyd did was punch him when the ref says, fight continue, or whatever he said. I mean, look, Floyd did what he was supposed to do throughout his career and throughout his decade. Quality over quantity. I keep hearing people saying he only fought half the decade. Up until he retired, which is Andre Berto. Right? We know he fought Conor. I'm not even counting Conor or the other guy. Consistently fought top fighters. He doesn't get held at the same standards. I remember making a video about Floyd when I heard that he was going to either fight Kareem Mayfield or Andre Berto. And I was upset, because, there's guys like Keith Thurman out there. There was guys that I really wanted to see Floyd face. And I just think that Berto at the time, even though Berto's still relevant, it was just, like, this is not a Floyd type of fight. I mean, even though Berto's a former champion, Berto wasn't he wasn't one of the very best welterweights at the time. So I didn't like it. And then Kareem Mayfield was kind of like random. But he fought Berto, which isn't a bad fight at all. Berto is still better than a lot of other people that Manny Pacquiao fought in this decade alone at welterweight. And this is what I mean by double standards. Because if Pacquiao and Floyd are up here, right, and they're at this high level, why is it okay for one of the fighters to fight lower level fighters from time to time, and Floyd is consistently fighting upper level fighters the whole time? But he gets criticized with who he's fighting. It doesn't make sense to me. Floyd Mayweather would have been found dead fighting Lucas Matisse or Brandon Rios. I don't care if he was coming from a loss or what. Everybody that Floyd fought up until the point he was 49-0 were legit fighters. Legit. No funny business. He went to 154, fought De La Hoya when De La Hoya had a title up there at 154, was still relevant in the sport. Fought Cotto at 154. When Cotto was still relevant. Cotto was still relevant by the time that Canelo got to him. So Floyd was definitely fighting a Cotto that was relevant. Fought Canelo at 154. Beat him clearly. No funny business. Clear win. No running. Had Canelo backing up, countering him, toying with him at times. Canelo Alvarez, future Hall of Famer. Floyd was toying with him. And in the same decade, fought Manny Pacquiao and beat him. He beat Shane. He beat Guerrero when Guerrero was relevant. He beat Victor Ortiz when he was relevant. You know, like he beat Marcos Maidana, who at the time was probably boxing's most improved fighter. Period. The guy went from getting shut out by Devin Alexander to stopping guys like Soto Carras and Josecito Lopez, a younger, fresher Josecito Lopez. Do you see what Josecito Lopez just did to Keith Thurman last year? Did you see that fight? What Lopez was able to do in 2019? Marcos Maidana walked right through him. Was able to walk right through Broner. Destroyed Broner. The only thing he didn't do is knock out Broner. Everything else he did to Broner. Destroyed Broner. There is not one fighter still to this day that was able to do what Maidana did to Broner. Not one. Yeah, Broner's taken a few losses. Not even Pacquiao beat Broner the way that Maidana beat Broner. Maidana was legit, without a doubt, improved. Robert Garcia has changed this guy. And Floyd beat him. Beat him twice. Legit fights. Now, Floyd didn't fight everyone that I wanted to see him face. I made a whole video years ago basically saying these are all the fighters that I wanted Floyd to face. I think it was the year that Floyd was retiring when I said I made a video. It was just a fun video when I went down through Floyd's career, all the fighters that I wanted to see him face, and at the times I wanted to see him face them. There was, I brought up guys like Shane Mosley, who didn't want to fight Floyd at one point. I brought up guys like Cotto. I wish he fought Cotto when he was undefeated. I wish he fought Margarito at a certain time. I wish he fought Paul Williams. I wish he fought Lara. I wish he fought Demetrius Andre. I wish he fought Sergio Martinez. There was a bunch of fighters at some point that I want to see wanted Floyd to face, and he didn't face them. I wanted him to fight Keith Thurman. There's a lot of fighters I didn't see him face. But there's a lot of fighters that Pacquiao didn't face. And there's a lot of fights that we didn't need. Because before the PBC came along, HBO and Top Rank was on the other side of the street, and they were not making fights with these Showtime fighters. They were recycling fights over and over and over. Let's get a third fight. Let's get a fourth fight. Pacquiao, did we need a third Tim Bradley fight? Absolutely not. Did we need a third and fourth Marquez fight? Absolutely not. These are all fights that happened in this decade where people keep saying things like, well, Pacquiao fought more fights. Yeah, he fought more fights, but he fought people that he had no business being in the ring with. Like, come on. You fought Broner after Mikey Garcia already beat him up pretty easily. Broner lost and almost lost so many fights. First of all, Broner has losses, and then he has so many almost losses. He has like 4 almost losses on top of the 3 or 4 losses he actually has. Because he has a loss against Maidana. He has a loss against Sean Porter. He has a loss against Mikey Garcia. And Pacquiao beats him. But then he has other fights where he barely won, or they were debatable, or they were draws. Listen, Pacquiao fighting Broner, I ain't have a real problem with it, but you can't slander. My point is, in all of this, you shouldn't be slandering Floyd Mayweather and praising Manny Pacquiao at the same time. That just doesn't make sense to me. You can prefer a certain fighter. Like, if you think Manny Pacquiao was fighter of the decade, you was more impressed with him, that's fair. I'm not even arguing that. The slander is just unnecessary though. And you know what? The pandering is unnecessary too. There is a difference. There are people that legit come up with great arguments on why Pacquiao should be fighter of the decade. And I'm not here to argue that. I'm not even here to argue. I'm not here for any of that or argue Canelo. But know the slander that this guy has received continuously. I understand why he is the way he is because he gets absolutely no credit ever for doing anything that he does. There's always a but. Yeah, he beat him, but. Well, what about Pacquiao? Oh, everything he does is great. Like, even when he gets knocked out, that's still greater than what Floyd did. Did you see what Floyd did to Marquez when Floyd fought Marquez? Marquez didn't even want to fight him again. He wanted no parts. Like when Marquez lost to Bradley, he wanted that. He wanted to run that back. He felt like he won the fight. When he lost to Floyd, he wanted no parts. Like Floyd stole his soul. And this is a guy that Pacquiao always had trouble against. And people want to blame it on size. You know what? You guys gotta always blame it on something. Because as far as I'm concerned, Pacquiao used catch weights just like Floyd did. All right. So if Marquez, like if Marquez felt like he was cheated, he would have just fought Floyd again. But he didn't want it. So look, this is not even a Manny Pacquiao bashing video. Let's just like there are things between both fighters that you have to acknowledge that they've done that's great, and then you also have to say that you know what he ducked or avoided this fighter, or he took this loss, or he looked shitty in this performance. He got a gift here. You know, Floyd got a couple fights where it could have gone uh, Castillo fight. People are going to bring that up. People always bring up a Castillo fight as if he didn't rematch him. Same thing with Maidana. Another controversial fight. He rematched him. You know, Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn. Why didn't you lose? Why didn't you rematch him, bro? You know, why didn't you fight certain people? Why didn't you fight Terrence Crawford? Why didn't you fight the Showtime fighters when you were top ranked? Why did you keep fighting Bradley and Marquez? Why? Why? You didn't have to, but you choose to. You chose to. Floyd, on the other hand, who didn't always fight who I wanted to see him face, did fight good fighters consistently, champions. You know, everybody does a little bit of cherry picking. Absolutely. There's always tougher fighters out there. Absolutely. But a lot of those tougher fighters, they lost right before Floyd was supposed to get to them. It happens. And Floyd ends up beating the guy that beat the guy that he was supposed to fight. It happened plenty of times. What happened to Paul Williams? Lost. What happened to Antonio Margarito? Lost. What happened to Andre Berto originally? Lost. He lost to Victor Ortiz. And lost again against Robert Guerrero. It is what it is. So what did he do? Fight the winner. I mean, it's been consistent, like, he fought Canelo and beat him and Pacquiao. He fought Canelo and Pacquiao in the same decade. In the same one. And got wins over both. So, I don't know. I don't want to. Floyd is I don't want to go back to we spent years of just debating about these two, and it's never gonna really end. But if you're gonna give an analysis on why Pacquiao should be fighter of the decade, at least be fair and be neutral. If you're just gonna bash Floyd and then say that Pacquiao did all these great things and had all these great fights, that's not being fair. Because Pacquiao has some losses. Pacquiao has some gifts. There's fights that he didn't rematch when he should have. You've rematched Bradley, you rematched Marquez when you had wins over him, but you didn't want to rematch a guy that actually beat you on the cards. And I didn't think Jeff Horn won the fight, but the fight was a lot closer than what you guys make it seem like. You know. Anyway, I love both guys, but the slander of Floyd it was making me sick to my stomach. It's just ridiculous. This guy and Pacquiao Too many common opponents, too many similar accomplishments. Okay? These guys did some great things. There's a lot of things they didn't do. They weren't undisputed. There were certain divisions that they kind of cruised right through. Um, there are certain fighters that didn't fight. There were certain gifts. Uh, there were certain things that happened. There was catch weights. There was all kind of little funny stuff going on. But at the end of the day, if you really gonna break down their resumes, there's a lot of similarities there. And even for the people that complain about Floyd and running and Pacquiao did better and this that, Pacquiao had one knockout in this whole decade, and it was against Lucas Matisse, a guy that has already, he just wasn't he was past his prime, far past it, and he wasn't a accomplished welterweight. But Pacquiao fought him just a couple years ago, you know. Yet we're making videos about him fighting Andre Berto. Just look at the difference here. Andre Berto is a much more accomplished boxer, period, than Chris Algieri, than Brandon Rios, than uh, Lucas Matisse. Okay? In fact, he did more at welterweight than Adrian Broner. So, anyway, I just wanted to get my thoughts off when it comes to that. All right? I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.